So welcome everyone. This is my first attempt at a game stream. We are doing this to determine if I want to create content in the as far as streaming games. What I've chosen is the much maligned, but actually not horrible after the latest update, Civilization 7. Now, Civilization's got a long history. I think I first played Civilization 1 in the early 90s. So we're here at the 7th iteration of the game. And again, they've taken some heat for this one, for some of the choices they've made. We're going to go ahead and start a new game here. And what we're going to try is doing a mountain playthrough. So we're going to go down and we are going to choose, if I can find him, Pachacuti. So Pachacuti is a specialist in mountain play. He'll get a preference to mountain positions as well. So we're going to go ahead and select him. Now the Inca are not a antiquity era, and for those of you who don't know, antiquity plays are civilizations are things like Rome and the Greeks and that kind of thing. In this latest update, they've allowed you to play any civilization at any time, but if you play with a civilization outside the current age, you're going to take some penalties. We're going to go ahead and choose the Inca, and we can see here they can actually work mountain terrain, and they get food and production on that terrain. We can also see they can build terrace farms. It's going to give them 4 food and gold to all adjacent buildings if it's on rough terrain. We get unique scouts and unique ranged units in the exploration age. We'll just get the normal stuff here. So we'll go ahead and select this. Advanced settings, I am going to turn off the crises. At the moment, at least, they're still more annoying than anything else. We're going to keep most of the other settings. We'll keep the difficulty pretty low here, and we'll set the game speed to standard. I'm not planning on conquering anything. That's really where you want to turn the game speed up. We are going to go with continuity, so we don't have to worry about the age transitions really killing us. And then for the map type, we're actually going to go to the fractal map type. Now this gives us a little more random maps, but it's also going to give us it's actually a lot less random than it might seem at first. You'll have to go read the dev pages if you want to know that, and we'll go with the standard map. So we're happy with that. So we've got Pachacuti, and I have played him before. He's got some experience. The Inca, starting in the ancient age, or sorry, the antiquity age. We do have to choose some mementos though to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Typical mementos, we do like having the 200 per age at the start of the age. That allows us to build at least 1 production building. Getting started, you'll see where that comes in shortly. Now we do have the new, I did do an Indian playthrough, the Indian leader playthrough. So we do have his abilities of +1 in the capital for every excess happiness, and 5% growth rate in the cities. But that's based on specialists, not going to be very useful in the antiquity age. We could go with extra food in the towns. That will really make us grow fast. We could just go with an expansionist attribute point that allows us to build settlers faster. We'll talk about that later. And let's see. But I think we're going to go with this +1 food per age on districts adjacent to mountains as our second one. And that comes right from Pachacuti. So we'll confirm that. Let's go ahead and launch the game. Oh, this is not a very good start. So we're going to go ahead and restart. All right, this time we actually do have some mountains. We can just hover over them and point those out. We got 5 mountains in the city radius. The city radius, by the way, is 3. So that's about as far as one city can reach. Let me explain a couple things, since I know we have a couple newbies to Civ, at least Civ 7, in the chat. First of all, we have there's basically 2 things you have to consider: cities and units. So we start off with this founder unit. It can make a city directly. Everything else, you'll have to make a town first. I'll get into that later, and then cities from there. But this looks pretty good as far as getting things started. So what we're going to go ahead and do, the only concern here is, well, we'll go through that. So we'll go ahead and hit this button here and establish our city. See, we have another mountain down here. That's going to really be helpful. And again, we're going to make a scout. We're also going to come back here and make at least 1 more. Typical openings are 2 or 3 scouts. So we'll make those 2 scouts. Now you'll see that I do have the tile yields turned on. Now what does that mean? We've got 3 different basic resources that each city consumes just in that city. Food, that's the little green dots here. The more food you have, the faster your city will grow. You've got production, those are the black hammers. You can see that down here. And then gold, which you can see here on the river. These are the 3 things you'll consume locally, although you'll see up here, gold, basically anything left over gets cooled up at the end and is spent across your entire empire. We also have 4 resources that aren't typically on the map, and that is science. I don't think I have any tiles here that generate science yet. Culture, this little guy up here does generate 1 culture. And then happiness. And happiness is essentially required to maintain your city. So 2 little happiness and everything goes to heck. Now you also have influence here. We'll deal with that a little later. So, and we'll talk about science in the next turn and then culture thereafter. So go ahead and next turn it.
The radiance of the new world came into being bathed in nectar, bathed in love.
So you always start the game out after the first turn, getting your first technology. This gives us granaries, which allows us to grow a little more food in all the tiles in the city, and a fishing key, which allows us to actually have better fishing boats. So hit OK here, and then we'll go down here and we'll see choose a technology. So this allows us to actually bring up the technology map. We'll actually look at the tree here. And we can see these are all the technologies available in the Antiquity era. We start off with agriculture, so we have a choice of 3 new technologies to look at. Sailing, we're not going to touch. You typically don't this early, but that gives you the harbor in addition, which allows you to get production off of ocean and coasts and large rivers. Also gives you a ship. We get pottery, which gives us a brickyard that allows us to improve mines, quarries, clay pits. We'll talk about that in a moment. And then we get animal husbandry that allows us to improve camps and woodcutters. In other words, we do this if we have we're going to work a lot of forests. We do this one if we're going to work a lot of mines. Also, you'll see animal husbandry gets us our first ranged unit, the slinger. You do start off with the ability to make warriors, basically guys with clubs. So we're going to actually start with we're going to take a look at the map. when we look at this, we see a forest here, we see a forest here with a resource on it, another forest up here, but generally what we're seeing a lot of are these rough areas, which are good. We like those as Pachacuti. So we're going to, and then we have a lot of just fields, which are good for farms. So what do we do here? I'm thinking, based on this, we're going to have a not great start here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into my pin mod. We're going to point out a couple of places where we want buildings to eventually sprout up. And don't worry, we'll go through buildings later. Actually, so there are 3 different categories of building bonuses. We have science and production, and those create science and production. And those are based on how close you are to another resource. So I put it, say, down here. Let me make this down a little. You can see it's not that much, but if I put it up here, where I've got two bonus resources up here, I get, instead of the normal 3, I get 5. So I'm going to go ahead and say we're going to eventually build our library, and each tile can hold 2 buildings. So let's say library and academy up here. And that's the same generally for production buildings as well. So we want to find a place that has a bunch of resources. We don't really have that here. So we are going to actually hold off on... No, we're not going to hold off on that. We're going to say our production buildings. We're going to go up here next to this mountain. Remember, we're the Inca, so if we don't set up quarters next to mountains, people get mad at us. Now, the good thing is, since we like mountains, is culture and happiness get a bonus from mountains. So what we can do is we can go ahead and plan on putting some cultural buildings and happiness buildings down here in this corner where we have 1, 2, 3 mountains to work with. And then down here, where we have 2 mountains to work with, we can go ahead and put some more happiness and some more happiness and culture buildings down here. Great. But all these quarters have to be contiguous, which means we need something here. But that's okay, because golden food buildings like being adjacent to rivers. So we're going to go ahead and put our buddy here, our market here, market, and our garden right next to it in that same quarter. That should give us a fairly good starting city. Okay, so given all that, what do we want to do? So we've got a plantation here, and we've got a fishing boat down here. Let's go ahead and just have our scout do his thing and show us what else we got here. Well, that would be really nice to put that the golden food building down here in this corner. Then we'd be giving up our ability to build, still have to put something here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to actually go ahead and put that gold building. You can see we get 2 more gold, and we get another food down here. So what are we going to do with this guy? It has to be a quarter, otherwise we can't build these other quarters down here. Well, we do have the ability to build these, what they call permanent buildings. So these other buildings that we built so far, they're just going to go into, they'll be replaced after every age. But we're going to put a saw pit here. And now, so why the saw pit? Well, you can see that we haven't done much of anything. We have 1, 2 rough areas left, and we have 1, 2, 3 wooded areas here. So for this area, we're going to actually want to build both. We're going to start with the saw. Okay. So with that, since we want to start with the saw pit, we're going to go animal husbandry, which is usually the better way to go about it because it gives us the ability to do slingers first. So we'll go ahead and do that. Go to the next turn. And now we're going to get a chance to grow the city. Now, which direction do we want to grow it? Growing down here, because we're going to replace this pretty quickly. The problem is that, what do we do? What do we do over here? I think we're going to go back here and put out the fishing key as well. And that means a harbor as well. So where do we want to grow first? If we grow up here, well, let's just bring this up. If we grow up here, we get an extra food. We get this resource, but plus 10 culture isn't great right now. We get 1 extra hammer and 1 extra culture. Now, 1 extra culture, not too bad right now. We can't get 2 extra hammers if we go production if we go up here into this mountain, but I mean that's going to be pretty much permanent. But we know eventually we're going to turn this into a science area, and right now we can get 2 food and 1 production. We like the food because we're going to grow faster, so we're going to go here. And as soon as we do that, you can see that we've grown our city boundaries a little. That's really all we can do now. We're building another. We are building another scout here, and we got 6 turns to actually get our first real technology after agriculture. So we're going to go ahead and next turn here. We're going to ignore the advisors for now, and now we get to play with our scout. So I think what we're going to do. Let's go explore it. We're going to send our guy down here to this river. Now, initially, scouts can't go in the ocean, but they can go along rivers. Now, once we go along rivers, they're going to stop, so we don't like crossing them unless we have to. Next turn. And let's get a little more exploration going. Now, this button, these 2 buttons down here, I should talk about them. This one gives us the ability to set up a lookout. In other words, we're just going to go ahead and stop and increase our sight range by 1. That's fine. But the search gives us a 1 turn plus 1 expansion on our vision. The other thing it does is it's going to identify essentially treasure chests, for lack of a better word, that we can find out in the wild. So we're going to do the search. And we can see we've got a really nice area down here. 1, 2, 3. Sadly, if I had known that this is going to be where we were at, I would have come down here and settled here. But we're going to go ahead and stay on this map and stick with it. And we are going to just keep searching. Now, what did we find? We found a little treasure area over here. We'll send this next scout that we're building over in this direction. And we found that we have some resources out here on the ocean. Now, we won't be able to get to this one, but we will be able to get to this one. We also know that this area over here, with the fishing key and the harbor, that's actually going to become important for us. So let's go ahead and the next thing we need to do... Oh, the other thing we found are these camel resources. This is the most valuable resource in the game, in my opinion, because essentially it allows your city to use more resources. We'll get into resources later on. So we get another growth event for our city. We know if we come up here that we're going to replace that. But we also know if we come over here, we're going to replace that as well. And it's going to be fairly early. So the question is, do I want to go here? Do I just want the extra food over here? Or do we go down here and try to get these crabs. I think at this point we kind of like going here, and because we're going to be able to reallocate that rural area to somewhere else in the city once we start building actual buildings. So actually I'm going to go down here first because I know that that one is going to go away even quicker. So go up there. See our city borders expanded again. And now we're going to keep going. Alright, we finished our scout. Question is, do we need a third scout? Or do we start building buildings? It's a very good question. Because we really kind of are stuck with what we want to do here. If I put the fishing key in, we're going to have a really rich food spot here. And eventually we'll get some production from it. If I do another scout or a warrior, that's going to allow us to take a little more of an aggressive stance. I think for now we're actually going to go with the fishing key. So we're going to go ahead and build here. Now if there was anybody working this tile like they are here and here, we would have gotten another growth event because we have to move those workers somewhere else. But in this case, we didn't have anybody working there, so we're starting to build that up as a fishing key. So let's go down here. Let's explore a little more. Now this scout, we're going to send him over here to capture this particular little treasure area. So we'll go over here. That's about it. And Nate, while I agree with you normally I would say go aggressive, in this case we haven't actually found anybody to be aggressive with yet. So building out our base of operations is probably a better thing to do. Now we do have this guy over here. He is a hostile. However, he's a scout, so he can't do much of anything. So we're going to move up here. See another little treasure chest there. And I'm going to do a little scouting. I'm trying to find the village that he's from. We're also going to come down here. Now I noticed that I can move here and then do nothing, and next turn move into the treasure. The treasure will stop it. So because I have 2 movement, and I'm going to actually do a search here, because I know next turn I'll end down here. We just got our first independent power. Now this is not a competing civilization. They won't really try to expand, but they will send folks to raid us. So we can be aggressive with them, or we can try to negotiate with them. So if I click on here, we'll talk about influence later on when we can actually do something with it. But for now, they're going to generate barbarians that come after us. I really can't address that, Chloe. You know, it changes day to day. I've been a Civ fan since Civ 1, though, so I've been playing this for a very, very long time, this series.
The caged bird watches butterflies with envy.
Yeah, so you played Civ 1? We do have our first real technology unlocked, which is animal husbandry. So now we can actually attack people at range with the slinger. And we have our saw pit building. So now we're going to do something interesting. Well, maybe. First of all, let's go ahead and do our technology. So we got a choice here. Generally, we're still going to go back and get pottery as well. That's going to give us the brickyard. And really, we can't get... I guess we can get masonry now. There is a argument to be made for that. That gives us our first culture generating building, which we really haven't touched on yet. But if we take pottery, we can get irrigation. And that gives us some additional help with the size of our empire eventually. Also gives us the garden, which allows us to expand a little quicker, and gives us access to writing, which allows us to develop science faster. I think we're going to go ahead and do masonry. It's going to take us a little longer, but in the end, with our position, I think we really want to go with a culture-heavy game. So we'll take this scout. We'll go up here. And then this scout's going to come and get this treasure.
Oh, Pachacuti, art thou in the sky or upon the earth?
So this is
Or
interesting.
in the deeps?
This is a natural wonder. And that's going to give us a fairly significant bonus on the map if we can get a city over here. So that's going to be really important really quickly. We also have our treasure. So a crowd has become captivated by a troop of players. They deserve an audience that can fully appreciate their talents. So I get a choice. I can either just take 10 production, which this early in the game is significant, or I can pay 50 gold and get 60 culture. I'm going to definitely take the 60 culture for the 50 gold. That is going to delay my plan on construction a little, but I'm okay with it. So we'll take that. Yes, we get access to Iceland later on.
I protect thee with this flame.
And that immediately gives us our first civic.
Feet.
Now, civics are like techs in that they give you no abilities, but instead of generally physical abilities, they give you more social abilities. So let's go into change policies first, because we get our first two policies. So this is what makes our government work better. I've got two options. I can either take one production and science every turn, or I can take 2 culture every turn. I think normally I would take the 2 culture, but in this case, I think I'm actually going to take the production and science. So go ahead and confirm here. I expect to change that later on. So now I also get this narrative choice. Let's see here. A worker files a complaint about stolen tools. The accused thief, however, claims to have found the tools discarded in a public place. Does that not make them unowned? So I can either get a happiness bonus for ordering the tools returned, or I can take the gold bonus. In this case, I'll take the gold bonus and I'll show you what we're going to do. Next item is actually choosing a civic. And Chloe, in this case, I am just streaming for fun. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the civic here. And so we got our chiefdom here, and that gives us those 2 social policies we talked about before. So we get 2 interesting opportunities here. We can take mysticism, and that gives us access to the antiquity religion, pantheons. It's a fairly simple bonus for every city that has this altar building that you can see can be built. Or we can take discipline. Now, discipline, the big thing that gives you is the ability to build army commanders. Army commanders are basically make your units much better. So we are going to go with discipline here. I'm not going to talk much about the custom civics that the Incas get at this time. So we'll go discipline. Thank you very much, Chloe. Now, this is new for this, the latest version of this game, and that's choosing a government. So this is generally the overall form of our government. We get 3 different choices here. The classical republic is going to give you more culture with some options, and we'll go over those later on, for influence, which we really haven't talked about yet, and production towards wonders of the world. And that is that's good if you're not aggressive at all. If we want to go really aggressive, we can do nepotism, and that's going to give us the ability to train units faster and research faster. But the last one is oligarchy, and that gives us a bonus gold and bonus food. So we're going to go with that. And that's usually your default one, unless you really want to go aggressive or you're really going after a culture need. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and confirm that. That's about all I'm doing right now, Chloe. And what we're going to do here, now that we have over 200 gold, is we're going to come here and we're going to go to purchase. So you can use production to build buildings, and you can see we're doing that right now with the fishing key. We got 3 more turns to build that. And we can build a saw pit, which will take us 5 turns if we use production. But I can get it immediately if I go over here to purchase. And you can see it cost me 220 gold to purchase the saw pit. I like that, so we're going to go here. Now remember, we're already working this tile. So as soon as I do this, it's going to ask me, okay, well now where do you want to put that person? So here goes the saw pit. Yes, I want to put it in Urban District. And now having done that, I'm going to get a Grow City event. So now I've got a choice. I can come over here and into the mountains and build an expedition base. I'll get 2 there. You can get these crabs, but I don't have any warehouse buildings yet. So that's not going to help too much until I have the, well, but once I have the harbor built, that's going to help a lot. Or I can come up here and get this wine, which gives me 2 happiness and 5 culture. Yes, I am in the US, Chloe. Alright, so I think I'm going to go ahead and take the wine for now, because we have another forest up here. So go ahead and put our logger up here. Nice to meet you too, Chloe. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next turn. We'll see down here, now I have a choice to command units. And we're just going to go ahead and move this. And now we've found that other independent city that was sending out that aggressive scout. Not sure what I want to do with this guy yet. Down here, we'll go down 1 more. Now we're going to want a city around this natural wonder somehow. One really nice thing about this is it's large, and we get +2 culture on improvements on adjacent tiles. So for example, if I put a tile down here, I would get, because I've got 2 parts of this natural wonder, I would get 4 additional culture. That's big, especially at this time part of the game. So let's go ahead and just scout around this natural wonder. Next turn. I really don't talk about my personal stuff, Chloe. Alright, so we've actually gotten another growth event just by our food. I'm actually going to come down here and go ahead and grab these crabs now. And we'll talk about resources. So now I've got a fishing boat on this river down. Now we know that next turn we're going to get in the fishing key up here, which will make this even better. What we also have is we go into our resource panel, and we can see we start with 4 resource slots, and these are items that we can assign to a specific city. Now this isn't going to help us a whole lot right now, so I'm going to move this off the city. Well, I guess it is helping us a little, so we will go ahead and move that. And you can see, you know, when you move these resources around, you'll see, hey, I lose a food here, I lose production here. I want food and production now, so we are going to go back here. We'll just go ahead and let it stick with the place it was already. Alright, so here we don't want to get near these guys. They will kill us. So let's go over here.
You ask for what reason I stay on the Green Mountain.
Wow, another natural wonder. Normally I don't see these at all.
Do not answer.
But, you know, I'm not going to complain. So this one, basically, if you have any of these elements on here, you're going to get +2 culture on anything in rough terrain, on any rough terrain in that settlement. So we'll definitely want to settle up here. So we'll use our scout to figure out where we're going here. This guy, as we said, he is going to explore more around this natural wonder. Where did you go in Australia, Chloe? Okay, we finished our fishing key, so now we actually have 4 food on this. Now, why do we have 4 food? Well, we got 2 originally. The fishing key gives us 1 more down here, and our crabs give us 1 more. So we're actually getting a lot of food off this one tile here, which is really good. But now we have to decide what else we're building. At this point, we need to actually start planning for towns. So we're going to go ahead and start putting together settlers. So I'm going to actually queue up 3 settlers here. Fairly typical start. We know that we're putting one somewhere up here, and we know we're going to put one somewhere down here. And yeah, we have the big issues with 2 hostile cities here and here. Okay, so we're going to go up. We're going to go up here. See what else is around, and again, same deal with this guy. Scout around these hills. I'd like to settle more along the ocean here, but we'll see how that goes. Where did you go to in Australia? All right, we'll move up here. We'll go up here, and since we're at this point, we're actually going to go ahead and do a search. Just to expand that a little further. And now we've got enough of the map opened up that we actually have to figure out where we want to settle down here. So I'm going to use this pin extension and choose this city center icon. What that does, it tells us where we can settle and essentially what our options are. So we're being told, hey, we really think you should settle down here. Now, I'm not sure if I like that particular location because we lose a really good district area. We can't settle in the red, which means we probably have something around down here. But we might not actually have a choice. Just looking at our options here, I think we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to send our scout south to actually figure out where who is actually down south here and is blocking our ability to settle there. We're also going to plan another settlement over here to take as much advantage as possible of this area. So we've got a lot of overlap, as we can see over here. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and kill that and just put this guy down here. I'd much rather settle up here. I really liked Sydney when I was there, Chloe. If I move this up, we're going to overlap with the capital. I just don't like that. So we're going to go down there. And up here, this is super tricky. Maybe I don't do a lot of multiplayer games, Chloe. Ooh. basically what we're seeing here when we bring the city placer is we don't have a whole lot of good places for that. Basically, we're getting told we have to do it right here. And that's because we're being interfered with by this city over here, which is fine. We're just going to have to, we'll have to deal with it. So we'll go ahead and plan for that city up there. And we'll see what did we get over here? This is hardwood, so that gives us naval units, which isn't terribly useful for us. But we'll see as we move on. So this guy we said has to move south. It looks like we've got another independent nation down here, which is good. We can eliminate those. No thanks, Chloe. So of course we're getting attacked. So we'll go off in this general direction because we just don't feel like dying there. And this guy will send over to this river. It looks like we've got access to the ocean. And we'll just keep going. Now we can't go over here because this is a somebody else's unit. Probably this would be a Tusa, which I don't even know what that would be. Yeah, so we've got another scout wandering around here. We really are going to have to build some military units. Grab its space here, tell it to wait, and we've got our first settler. You're going down there, buddy. We're going to very carefully move our unit down there, and there's our buddies at Tusa. So we need to decide what to do with them. Now, the interesting thing is if you see these symbols here, those are the types of villages that they are. And if you befriend a lot of the same type, you can actually, there's actually some advantage to do. So we're going to have to think about that. I don't know how we're going to generate enough influence, which we really haven't talked about yet since we haven't run into anybody else yet. Right, our capital gets another growth event. And you can see, because we built the sawmill, we actually have an area where we can get 3 production off of 1 wooded tile. I could also go down here, get the 1 there, and then we'd have 2 with 3 production. But right now we are really light on production. Also just go down here and get the fishing boats, but I think here is where we want to be. Actually getting more production at this point. And we're going to tell our scout to run away. That didn't work terribly well, but hopefully we can run this direction and get away from them.
Do nothing which is of no use.
Alright, we've got a general, but we don't have anything to actually put in the general. So I'm going to actually queue up some armies as well to put to fill that general with. Now we have another choice to make here on the civic tree. We got discipline already. Generally, you're going to go into mysticism as soon as you're done with discipline. Discipline helps with attacking folks. and mysticism helps grow in your cities. So go ahead and choose mysticism there. We do get a new social policy here. We can have one at a time, and that is scouts gain +1 movement in sight. I'm not sure if I want to give up the +1 production in science at this point, so we're going to go ahead and stick with that. Go over here. Now we're going to take this treasure here. A petty warlord has driven a community of artisans from their home. They have been building chariots. Anyone who helps reclaim their home is welcome to them. So it's going to cost me 50 gold, but I get a chariot. That's actually super useful. Otherwise, I can get 50 extra gold. So the chariot's going to cost me 100 gold. That's a lot less than what it would cost me to just buy it. So we will go ahead and take that. This is bad. We're just going to go ahead and do a search. We're probably going to die, though. As for that, we're going to take our army commander and we're going to take this chariot and we're going to put it inside the commander. Because he is going to go off and actually search for barbarians. No thanks, Chloe. And I just lost my scout. So my notification here tells me, hey, you just lost your scout. Thanks, I saw it. Alright, for this guy, we're going to come over here and just do a search. Because I have the distinct impression that that other scout is going to end up dying as well. Now my settler is actually down here where I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and say found settlement. So now we have Machu Picchu founded. And we're right here at the Natural Wonder. Notice these are massive production bonuses for the area. So then we're going to say grow town. Now we got a choice. And it's not as obvious as it might seem at first. So we can take this big 3 production bonus here and here. On the other hand, we can go ahead and go down here and take this fish, which gives us 3 extra food. So towns work different than cities. Towns basically allow us to get food, but they don't really do much else. So at least early on, I'm going to be concerned with the growth of this town. Production in towns just gets converted to gold. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to choose this fish. Then in the resources, I'm going to make sure it's assigned to Machu Picchu. Great, so now we have a growing town. I only have 31 gold, otherwise I would buy a fishing key to put over here. I am going to go ahead and put that on a tag to remind me to do it later. We're going to put a fishing key here, because obviously we got a lot of fish to use. All right, so here, this is our army commander, and I'm going to send him here to see if there's anybody around. There isn't, so I'll send him one more. And then we'll move on to the next turn. Now I'm going to actually send this guy. Low happiness where? Okay, so we got low happiness in Machu Picchu. Okay, why do we have -2 happiness in Machu Picchu? That's not making a whole lot of sense. Huh. I'm actually not sure what's going on here. This happiness upkeep, but that must be a feature of of the Inca, I guess. Like I said, I'm just not sure what's going on. We'll keep playing to see if we get major issues there. We're going to move this guy down here and then deploy his chariot. Now what that is going to allow us to do with this chariot, once it can move, is we'll be able to give experience over to our army commander.
He was the first.
And of course, he's smart enough to run away.
80 miles.
So we'll move this guy down here, right where we expected him to be, and our chariot can come over here and attack. You'll see you got 4 experience points for that, and early on, that's a pretty good zone to hit. Now I have to decide about this area over here. Where do I want to settle next? Because I've got one more settler coming up, which reminds me. So really, where do I want to go next? I'm not actually sure. Go into my map hints. At the city center here. The problem is we're Inca, which means we want access to mountains. But we also need access to this, these camels here, which means we can take this suggestion up here, which allows us to capture a lot of that. We could go down here to the coast, which misses the dyes up north, and also misses the I think we have to go here. It's not optimal, but that's where we're going. So narrative choice. The manager of a portable food stall has been peddling wines and meat pies to a mob of political protesters. However, the drink riles the crowd up. The stall is overturned and set ablaze. So what do I want to do? Impose new taxes on the wine. It's going to give me 50 gold. Or outlaw drinking near the civic center, which means I get 1 production per turn in perpetuity. Where am I on gold? I almost think I have to take the gold here. And now we're back to how do we want to grow this now? I'm just going to go with the highest food amount I can get. It should be right here. That brings us up to 0 negative happiness. That's a positive, I guess. Okay. So we've got we can now build monuments. And we'll do that rather quickly. But now we want to build libraries. That way we can do scientific research faster. All right. So our scout is up here in no man's land. We're going to try to look at this area down here, if we can. In this case, we are going to attack these barbarian warriors because we just need to die, and we're going to run away there. We'll keep our army commander in place. And yes, we know that Machu Picchu is defenseless, sadly. We'll deal with that eventually. We also have enough influence, so we've been growing this influence resource. And what that allows us to do is actually negotiate with other empires and make nice with the various villages. I'm going to come over here to Lucio because it's so close to Machu Picchu and choose the befriend independent. Now this is going to cost me 170 influence, and influence does not grow very much. When I do that, in 15 turns they'll stop attacking me. That's good. But eventually, in 30 turns, I'll have the opportunity to turn them into a friend, and we'll get some bonuses. And because they're expansionist, their bonuses are related to growing the empire. I like that. And we also have Hattusa, which is also expansionist, so we might actually get some synergy down there. So now we're down to 50 influence, which is a lot lower than I'd like to be, but it is what it is. All right. Where is our army commander as far as experience goes? Almost there. He needs one more XP. So let's go ahead and do that. Ugh. And now we need to decide what kind of commander do we want to make him. Do we want to make him aggressive? Do we want to make him defensive? Do we want to make it overall better, or do we want to make it more of a peacetime leader? Or faster? I think what we're going to do here, we're actually going to do logistics. So we get two choices here. If I'm on a district, I get faster units. Otherwise, I can get 1 gold for each unit in the commander. I'm going to choose that one, confirm, and move forward. Now, hopefully my chariot doesn't die in the next turn. We'll see what happens there. Okay, so we have another growth event here. We already got the forest up here, so this is the other forest we want. So we're going to go here first. And that'll give us access to resources, so we'll just go ahead and put this guy here. And we'll go ahead and pull him off the city, because I assign him to the city. You see, I don't get any bonuses there. If I take him off, I get 1 gold, 1 happiness per turn. When I start actually making more culture, then that'll make a lot more sense. Okay, this guy, he's going to keep running away because he just doesn't have the ability to fight that fight. And this seller, he's here, so he is going to go ahead and live there. And over here, I'm going to go this way because now 2 culture on improvements on rough terrain in this settlement. So no matter what, we're going to get 2 culture here, 2 culture here, 2 culture here. Wherever I happen to have culture, that's going to end up doing very well for me. So we're going to go here. Now we're going to have to pull this chariot back to Machu Picchu because he is just about dead. As for this guy, now we have to decide where can I grow the quickest. I kind of like going up here just because we're going to get science along with growth, so that's what we'll do. We need 200 gold, right? 220 gold to get the fishing key. So we're still a ways away from that. We're going to continue running away up here. This guy is going to go down here to Machu Picchu, and our army commander, we're going to send back up this way.
And this is a good point to end the video for today with a new city up and conquest of a couple wandering barbarians. Join us next time as we continue growing our empire and come across an entire barbarian army. Until then, we'll see you soon.